Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I am finally filming my beautiful disaster rant review. This thing has been on my to-do list forever, and it has taken me over a month to write this review. Like, I have 14 pages of notes front and back, so like 28? I don't know, I can't do math. This is a lot, but it's my thoughts on the book, and I'm very excited to share it with you guys, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I have a few disclaimers because I am a real booktuber now. The first of which being that despite me not liking this book, I know that there are some people who do like this book, Lord knows why. And although I don't agree with them on this book being decent, I do respect their opinions, right? So if you are a fan of this book and you find this video somehow, keep in mind that it is very easy to make me cry. Very easy. I am a crybaby. So don't comment anything mean. Like, respect my opinion and I'll respect yours. I'm sure there's a decent book somewhere in this mess. Doubt it. And then the second thing is that I don't want this video to come across as rude or whatever towards the author. It definitely will. But it's not my intention to hurt the author's feelings. But at the end of the day, who's laughing all the way to the bank with all of their money that they made from the book? Not me. So what this video is going to be covering is first, character, second, writing, third, plot, fourth, romance, and fifth, misogyny, my favorite topic. So let's get into the review. So our main character in this book is Abbie Abernathy, and she is the blandest of Mary Sues. After finishing this book, I can confidently say I don't know who Abbie is as a person. There are a few objective facts I know about her. I know that she's a freshman, I know that she is undeclared in her major, I know that she's running away from something in her past, but I don't know who she is. What does she hope for out of life? What are her goals? What does she want? What does she not want? These are all things that aren't answered. I don't even have a hint, you know? What does she want to do with her life? I don't have any idea. What does she do in her free time? So I don't know who Abbie is, but I do know who she isn't, right? The author really puts time in emphasizing who Abbie isn't. And who she isn't is like most girls, right? You, me, them. She's not like us. She's better than us, I suppose. So obviously there is a lot wrong with Abbie being so flat and so one-dimensional on a feminist level, right? Female characters deserve more than to be the antithesis of other girls. Female characters deserve to be written as something more than, you know, an object that men desire. But on a craft level, what that leads to is a flat reading experience. It's one of the biggest gripes I had with this book. The narrator in which we spend the bulk of the book with, all of the book with, is so annoying, so bland, so unremarkable in every single way. How do you become such an unremarkable main character? The next character I want to talk about is Travis Maddox, and he is our dashing hero in desperate need of therapy. So the author wants us to view Travis as being hot, and he knows it. He's smart, and he knows it. There is a scene in this book where he describes how he never has to study for any class, and he always gets A's, and I call BS. Like, never has to study for any class in college. I don't care if you have the highest IQ. College is a different breed from high school. You definitely aren't on academic probation and you just don't want to admit it. And also, Travis is the best fighter anyone has ever seen, the hottest guy anyone has ever seen, the smartest guy anyone has ever seen. He takes down mafia goons and UFC fighters, among other various built men. His only flaw is that he just loves he loves Abbie too much. That's his only flaw, which I call BS on all of that. The way Travis actually came across to me was a character who is violent and volatile, a character who can't take no for an answer. Travis rings every alarm. Every alarm. Every alarm. I can only hope that no one I know ever dates a guy like Travis. We all deserve better. I am not exaggerating when I say that he is the worst romantic hero I have ever read. Impulsive, violent, volatile, gross. He smokes, which is so cool. He litters in this book, which is so cool. He drives drunk in this book, which is the coolest thing anyone can do. How is he so cool? He's so awful, manipulative. Oh, I can't say enough bad things about him. And even though Abbie is annoying and bland, she does not deserve his host of character flaws. And in 2019, we're going to have to stop treating women like rehabilitation centers. I will put in an email for Dr. Phil. Please leave Abbie alone. Next is America Mason. She is Abbie's best friend. She's completely unremarkable, honestly. The only point in the book that she serves is being the driving force that, like, puts Abbie and Travis together. She is always there when Abbie and her have a fight, and she goes, "You're perfect for one another. You don't think you guys aren't going to fight? You guys are so perfect, so perfect. You have to give him a shot. You have to give him a shot." That's literally her existence in this book. She is less than one-dimensional. She is a shadow of a shadow of a shadow of a character. She is so unremarkable. I don't know anything about her aside from her being Abbie's best friend. Oh, another thing about America is that she is the only other female character in this book that is not demonized in one way or another, and I'll touch on that more later when I talk about the blatant misogyny in this book. So yeah, she's dating Shepley, who is Travis's cousin. He has no last name in this book, which I think is very telling as to how far the author planned out the story. So he's Travis's cousin, America's boyfriend. He doesn't want Travis and Abbie together until he does want Travis and Abbie together. He's like Travis light, but uninteresting in every single way. Yeah. So those are the four main characters that are somewhat developed. The rest of the characters in this book are all less than these characters, which is really saying something, because these characters read like tertiary characters of decent written books. These characters are the flattest I have read in a long time. On to the writing. Nice. So technically speaking, the writing wasn't atrocious, which good for the author. The writing wasn't the worst. It was pretty invisible, standard new adult writing. However, there were some things in regards to the structure that I really noticed that didn't help my enjoyment of this book. And what I mean by the structure of the writing is not the content of the book, which I will get into in the next section when I talk about the plot, but the way in which the plot was delivered to us. Finishing this book, I felt a lot of emotions, not necessarily disappointment because I didn't expect much from this book, but I felt suffocated, I felt claustrophobic, I felt grossed out by the relationship, I felt not good. And part of that can be attributed to the way the book was written, right? The claustrophobia, the suffocation, those things can be attributed to the structure of the book. And by that, I mean, one of the things that I noticed is that this book had a distinct lack of subplots. Think of any book that you have read that you've really enjoyed, a novel-length book. I can almost guarantee you that aside from the main romance and the main plot, there are other things going on in the book. There are other relationships, either familial, friendships, other romantic relationships, you know, something else of interest in the book, characters with other goals in this book, or in the book that you're thinking of. And I know that because that's the way a good book is written. You know, a book that has multiple subplots that are divorced from the main plot and relationships are books that have more spice to the reading experience, are books that have more content, you know, for the author to work with, are books that typically don't read as repetitive and dry and suffocating because there's more to go on, there's more to read, there are more characters to be invested in than the main characters. You know, you may hate the main character, but you may like the secondary characters, and so you'd read for that experience. This book had literally, like, all the subplots that were in the book, all centered on Abbie and Travis, and all served the ultimate goal of getting Abbie and Travis together. And so me not liking Abbie and Travis and hating their relationship led to me feeling trapped, because every reprieve that I could receive from the main relationship was illusionary. You know, all of them led back to Abbie and Travis. So one of the subplots that might have been vaguely interesting, Abbie's mysterious past, right? So that's a subplot that the author could have used to further develop Abbie as a character, make her three-dimensional, make her a character with a host of flaws or insecurities delving from this mysterious dark past. It could have developed the relationship between America, the best friend, and Abbie, because allegedly America lived through the experience with Abbie. It could have, you know, strengthened the bond between the two of them, but literally none of that was done. The only point of this mysterious past is for Abbie and Travis to have an excuse to go to Vegas together and have an excuse to get into, like, arguments and then make up, and then get into arguments and then make up. Another thing that I want to note in regards to the writing style is that there is a lack of transition scenes, and by that I mean, again, think of any good book. You know, there are books with high dramatic points that you think of, like, oh, that was, you know, the climax of the book, that was the moment the characters got together, that was, you know, such an emotional scene. Those high point scenes are connected through transition scenes in which quieter things happen, in which, you know, the plot is happening, but everything is a little more subdued, everything is a little more, you know, calmed down. If everything is important, then nothing is important, if that makes sense. If everything is dramatic, then nothing is dramatic. It's just a strain on my emotions, my empathy as a reader. For example, one scene would be Abbie and Travis fighting because Abbie has a date with the guy, Parker. And Travis is like, you can't see him. You can't see him. And then the next scene would literally be Abbie walking up to the apartment after finishing the date to Travis's brooding mood, and then they would fight again. You know, so the entire date is skipped. The Abbie getting ready for the date is skipped. The car ride to and from the date is skipped. There is no reflection. There are no quiet moments for Abbie to reflect on what's going on. It's just Abbie and Travis, Abbie and Travis, Abbie and Travis. They fight, they make up, they fight, they make up. And so what that leads to is a distinct lack of development in regards to Abbie. I don't know who she is because I don't spend any quiet moments with her in regards to reflection, self-reflection. The transition scenes in most books, the quieter scenes that weave the big dramatic moments that you think of when you think of a book, is when we really get to know a character. That's why they're important. The in-between grand dramatic scenes is when the actual work of the book takes place. It's when we figure out what a character wants, why they want it, how they feel, who they care about, you know, who they are. And if you take away those moments and you only leave the high melodramatic points, what you get is a book filled with drama, but none of it is meaningful. And what this leads to ultimately is when I finish this book, I feel suffocated, yes, but I also feel like I don't know who Abbie and Travis are. Why are they together? What do they want? Why is Abbie choosing to go out with another guy? How does she feel about this guy? You know, why does Travis feel so jealous? Like, these are all questions that aren't answered, and after spending a novel-length book examining two characters and centering on their relationships with one another, you should know the answers to these questions. Next is the plot, and the plot is, god damn. The plot is gonna take a while to get through. So the book begins, like any good book does, with an illegal underground college fight club scene. It was so weird. So it is the first scene of the book, and in this scene we are introduced to our lovely hero, Travis. He's the headline fighter, and no one wastes any time in letting us know how desirable he is. He's literally introduced to us, the audience, to Abbie, to everyone, by the announcer of the fight, like this. And keep in mind that this is supposed to make us like Travis as a character. Our next fighter doesn't need an introduction. Obviously, he does. But because he scares the shit out of me, I'll give him one anyway. Shake in your boots, boys, and drop your panties, ladies. I give you Travis Mad Dog Maddox. No comment on the Mad Dog nickname. One comment on the Mad Dog nickname. Gross. Ew. Disgusting. Nasty. Stay away from me. Why? Ew, Mad Dog, really? What kind of white trash is that? Anyway, Abbie gets blood on her clothes during this fight. She gets pushed and shoved by the crowd, and then she falls forward while Travis is like knocking out the guy. He realizes that Abbie's being pushed around, and he like tells everyone to back off, and they do, naturally, because they love him and they worship the ground he walks on. And so Travis saves Abbie and christens her Pidge. So he's like talking to her and he's like, oh, watch where you're going, pigeon. Which is the grossest pet name, and he continues to call her Pidge and Pigeon throughout the book. Gross. So the next day, Abbie decides to eat with America, Shepley's frat brothers during lunch in one of the big high school-esque cafeterias, and a lot of things happen in this cafeteria. I don't know if the authors actually ever stepped foot on a college campus, but I promise you, at least in my university, no one congregates in one central eating location, and if they do, it's not like high school. Like, not everyone has the same lunch break. Not everyone, like, it's not like, oh, the bell rings, oh, time for lunch, you know? So I don't know why they're always at the same place at the same time. Whatever, I digress. It's just annoying. So Abbie eats lunch with these guys for the first time in the semester, and while she's eating with them, Travis walks in to the cafeteria with two girls on his arm, one on each arm. Obviously, women are the best decorative items. They are the best accessories. Who needs a Gucci belt when you've got two blondes on your arms? Am I right, ladies? Anyway, so Travis shows up, and this is a wonderful opening scene that we get with Travis. Fantastic. Quote, Travis takes a seat at the end of the table. He was followed by two voluptuous bottle blondes. It's important for you to know that they're not natural blondes, they're bottle blondes, wearing Sigma Kappa tees. One of them sat on Travis's lap, and the other sat beside him, pawing at his shirt. Like this? Like, a furry, like, whatever. I think I just threw up a little bit in my mouth, America muttered. Shut up, America. The blonde on Travis's lap turned to America. I heard that skank. America grabbed her roll and threw it down the table, narrowly missing the girl's face. Before the girl could say another word, Travis let his knees give, sending her tumbling to the floor. What a class act. America's a friend of mine. You need to find another lap, Lex. Travis, she whined, scrambling to her feet. Travis turns his attention to his plate, ignoring her. The scene is meant to paint Travis out to be an anti-hero, I suppose. Like, oh, he's so cool, look at him, he has girls, but he doesn't care about these girls. But he does care about America, because America's not like other girls. How cool is he? We stand this bad boy. Like, no, this is an awful scene. There are a couple of things I want to comment on, the first of which being that I'm actually genuinely surprised that Travis knew the girl's name. Like, he calls her Lex. And I think it's like one of the few girls that he addresses by name in this book. Fantastic. And then another thing that really rubbed me the wrong way is how this book makes it a point to use language that makes every female character, aside from Abbie and America, just awful. Like, these words are meant to paint these female characters as being less than human. They're bottle blondes who paw at his shirt, they whine and they squeal. And like, it's obvious that this author has beef with blonde-haired people and also with women in general. Also, America throwing food at this girl. Grow up, sis. What comes of this great cafeteria scene is that Travis ends up inviting Abbie over to his apartment, in which she says no, and then America tells Travis to back off, in which Shepley responds, "You just told him no. Now he's never going to stop." Which isn't concerning in the least. Who wouldn't want a guy who, you know, can't take no for an answer? So Abbie goes over to Travis's apartment later that night looking like a slob. She's wearing sweatpants, messy bun, glasses, no makeup, and everyone is like, you look horrendous. But she's basically just wearing the Your Name ensemble, the YN ensemble. Threw her hair up in a messy bun and she was ready to go. And she dresses this way so that Travis will want to bag her, which is the term he uses for sleeping with women, which is gross, dehumanizing, awful. Do I really need to say all of that? Every time he says that word, I swear I think of body bags and garbage bags. Nice. So this plan of trying to thwart Travis's attention backfires because when she shows up to the apartment, Travis notes that he likes the au naturel look and that she's not like other girls because women don't come around this apartment looking like that. And so he's like interested even more. And then they go out to eat for dinner. Like, Travis and Abbie go one-on-one out to eat. So they go out to eat, they sit down and get their order taken by a waitress who looked a bit high from Travis's presence. This is the way the author describes women in this book, like benign. Like, even a waitress can't escape the wrath of the author. No woman is safe. Travis then confronts Abbie's attitude over dinner, asking, "Are you a man-hater in general, or do you just hate me?" Classy. Abbie goes, "I think it's just you," in which Travis laughs. "I can't figure you out. You're the first girl to be disgusted by me before sex," which is not great at all. It begs a couple of questions, first of which being, if you're having consensual sex with these girls, why are they bothered? Like, why are they disgusted by you? Which leads me to the natural conclusion of, oh, it must be how you treat them afterwards. But obviously, if you're willing to sleep with Travis, you don't deserve respect, right? Like, that's the main takeaway of this book. Anyway, Travis continues his high praise of Abbie by saying, "You don't get all flustered when you talk to me and you don't try to get my attention." And then Abbie says it's because she doesn't like being a foregone conclusion for the sole purpose of having a vagina. This is how they talk to one another. This is their, like, foreplay. I'm not like other girls. You're not like other girls. I'm not like other girls. I treat girls like garbage. Oh my god, I love you so much. I love you so much. Like, that's what this relationship basically is. So Travis laughs at the statement of Abbie not liking being a foregone conclusion, and then he says, "Oh, we have to be best friends. Like, I'm not taking no for an answer." Of course you won't. And then this begins Abbie and Travis becoming best friends, which everyone is mystified about because obviously Travis can't have a platonic female friend, and the author proves that to be true because obviously they end up together. So he really does not have any platonic female friends. So the next notable thing that happens in this book is that the hot water at America and Abbie's dorm goes out, and rather than taking cold showers like a plebeian, like other girls, they choose to move in with Travis and Shepley's apartment. while the dorm is getting fixed. So that's where they're at. And so the scene in which they move into the apartment, a girl is walking out of the bathroom, she's buttoning up her clothes, and it's clear that Travis just bagged her. And then this scene happens. Travis rounded the corner in a pair of boxer shorts and yawned. He looked at his guest and then patted her backside. That is so condescending. My company is here, you'd better go. Okay. She smiled and wrapped her arms around him, kissing his neck. I'll leave my number on the counter. Don't worry about it, Travis said in a casual tone. What? She asks, leaning back to look in his eyes. Every time, America said. She looked at the woman. How are you surprised by this? He's Travis fucking Maddox. He's famous for this very thing. And every time they're surprised. She turned to Shepley and he put his arms around her, gesturing for her to calm down. There are a lot of things I want to say about this scene. The first of which being that scenes like this aren't rare. They're not few and far between. It's obvious that the author finds the way Travis treats other women in this book to be endearing, to be, you know, it may be problematic, but it's like the romantic kind of problematic. Like, look how he treats other girls, and then look how he treats you. It's that kind of wish fulfillment of, oh, he's rude to everyone else, he's shit towards everyone else, but he's not towards me. And that kind of notion is completely whack. I can't help but feel a lot of empathy for this girl. You know, I don't feel empathy for Travis. I don't feel empathy for America or Abbie throughout this book. I don't care about them. But I do feel empathy for this girl, because imagine if you were in her place, right? You just did this intimate act with this guy. You know, you're interested in him. He pats your backside and sends you off, you know, in the most condescending way possible, and you still decide to leave your number. And in front of other people, he rejects you. Like, that's awful enough, you know? America decides to throw her 2 cents in, like no one freaking asked. Why is she so annoyed by this girl, you know, shooting her shot? Why is she so annoyed by this girl who puts herself out there? Why is she so bothered? And then if she is so inflamed that girls don't know better by now, like how dare you ask for Travis to, you know, see you again? How dare you expect Travis to care for you after he bags you? If she has that notion of Travis, then why does she try her damnedest to push America or Abbie towards Travis? Like, there are a lot of things in this scene that baffle me, that anger me, that confuse me. But more than Travis being a dick, America being so complacent in it, so awful towards other women. It's not new, obviously, like the scene that I read before in which she throws bread at a girl who sits on Travis's lap. Like, this behavior isn't new, but it's still frustrating. The awful scene continues, by the way. So Travis, after sending this girl off, carries on like nothing happened, and Abbie is annoyed. She asks how he could treat someone this way, and then she asks him, oh, what if that was your daughter? Like, what would you do if your daughter was treated that way? If the girl does have to be related to Travis for Travis to care, then that is a red flag, sis. Get out. Anyway, Travis responds to the what if it was your daughter statement by saying, my daughter better not drop her panties for some jackass she just met. Let's put it that way. And this is supposed to be our charming hero. The jokes just write themselves at this point. Anyway, this was all set up for Abbie to say that she's going to take the couch. And Travis reveals that he sleeps with these girls on the couch, not his bed. He's like, no girl has ever been in my room, which is the weirdest trope that is so prevalent in new adult. It's in After. It's in 50 Shades of Grey. It's in this book. The notion of, oh, this guy is so experienced, he sleeps with anybody, you know, he is such a man whore, which I hate that term. Let's call men sluts in 2019. He's such a promiscuous person, but, you know, that ends with his room. His room is some sacred place. So it's like this fantasy of, oh, he's experienced, but just like you, he's also in, like, I don't know why this whole thing of a man having a sacred space is so important to these authors. Like, oh, this room is untouched, you know, you're gonna be the first. So they spend the night together, Abbie and Travis, in Travis's bed because the couch is dirty, and this leads to rumors that they're hooking up in their university. Like, everyone is talking about Abbie and Travis being together, and that makes Abbie uncomfortable. And I just want to pause and say, I don't know how unproductive and how small this university has to be for 2 random people sleeping together being a topic of discussion. Like, how small does your university have? Like, do these people not have midterms to worry about, finals? Do they not have internships and jobs and, you know, a life of their own? Like, are they all written with the sole purpose of being focused on Travis and Abbie? So Abbie is uncomfortable with rumors. She doesn't want to be seen as just another one of Travis's sluts, because she's not like other girls, obviously. And she needs people to know that she's not like other girls. And so Travis comes up with a plan to pick up an STD-infested imbecile. I'm not kidding you, that's a direct quote from the book, an STD-infested imbecile. So they go to a bar to be seen flirting with other people, but obviously that ends up as like fodder for them to be jealous towards one another the entire time and brooding. Abbie and Travis get into an argument at the bar because Abbie feels insecure because Travis isn't actively trying to get with her anymore. And then Travis says he's still attracted to her, but she's too good for him. He can't think of a single guy that's good enough for Abbie, which really, like, not good enough for Abbie. This is what I don't get about books like these. They put the main character, the blandest of Mary Sues, up on a pedestal, and every guy worships the ground they walk on. Every guy, not just the main love interest, is obsessed with these characters, and, you know, no one is good enough for these characters. But I don't understand why. Like, they're so bland, they're so uninteresting. Why are they, what makes Abbie too good for other guys? Like, she's too good for Travis, I agree with that, but like, what makes her too good for other guys? I don't understand. They dance together after they like have a little discussion about Travis still being attracted to Abbie. So they dance together, and while dancing, Travis starts kissing Abbie's neck without asking for consent, because who needs that? Who needs that in 2011? I guess consent wasn't a thing. Abbie freaks out, Travis gets mad, and then they end up getting in another fight at this public place. So after they get into a fight, they both just stop talking to each other. Travis is across the room, flirting up a storm, and then some guy approaches Abbie at the bar, and he offers to buy her a drink. Abbie agrees. Travis gets mad. He notices and he gets mad, and he freaks out and he says, like, why are you accepting this drink? But they end up getting in a third argument at the bar about whether or not she should be talking to the guy in the first place. He reveals that the guy that bought Abbie a drink was arrested last year for sexual battery, which I don't know how Travis knows, but we'll just take his word for it. So this bothers me, like so many things in this book, because it's kind of like the author's way of saying, see, Travis can come across as high-handed and rude, but it's all for Abbie's benefit. He's always right. Like, he may be problematic, but it's for a reason. He's doing the right thing at the end of the day, which is not true at all. The plot of this book habitually rewards Travis's awful behavior, which is not great. You know, like, Travis being overbearing and possessive and toxic is all okay because at the end of the day he's doing it for the right reasons, but there is no right reason for being those kind of things. He could have very easily explained to Abbie, like, oh, you know, I know that guy, he's not great, as opposed to making a huge scene and then after they get into a huge fight revealing, well, I was looking out for you anyway. Like, I feel like that was just something that you made up. Like, I genuinely think that Travis made that up on the spot. The next morning, after they get back from the bar, before America and Travis wake up, Abbie and Shepley, the cousin, end up having a heart-to-heart in which someone who previously adamantly refused the two of them being together. Like, Shepley was like, I don't want you guys together, he's gonna break your heart, you're gonna ruin my relationship with America, just don't do it. This guy who adamantly refused Abbie and Travis being together tells Abbie that Travis is letting you in and that she has to overlook his demons. Nice. So that day, Travis ends up being extremely rude and temperamental, especially towards Abbie. And then that night, Travis apologizes for his tantrum, in which Abbie responds, I can handle your temper tantrums, which I hope he's paying you for your time as a daycare provider. Travis invites Abbie and America and Shepley out for a fight. Abbie gets dressed up, she's excited, she feels pretty in her outfit, and when she walks out, Travis is like, oh hell no, you can't wear that. He tells her to go back to change, and when Abbie asks why, he says, are you trying to get me killed? I'll be more worried about who's looking at your tits. Nice. Instead of like Hoffman, who is the guy that Travis is going to be fighting. Abbie changes, which was weird, out of character. Well, she doesn't have a character, so I guess it is in character. So before Travis goes into the fight ring, he makes a bet with Abbie. If Hoffman, Travis's opponent, is able to land a punch on Travis, he's going to abstain from sex for a month. And then if Hoffman doesn't land a punch on Travis, Abbie's going to have to move into Travis's apartment for a month. Obviously, Travis wins the bet. Abbie has to move into Travis's apartment for a month, which, gross. And before Abbie does move in, it's revealed that the hot water at her dorm was fixed that day, so that's why Travis was so rude towards her. Which, how romantic. We love a guy who doesn't know how to communicate his emotions and makes you feel like you're worthless and it makes you feel like you're at fault. For the most part, the month is pretty unremarkable. Abbie and Travis hang out most of the time. They study together, they do everything together. We spend every page with him, essentially. And when Abbie isn't with Travis, she's with Parker, who is a guy that she starts seeing over the course of the month. So after Parker invites Abbie to go out with him one night, Travis gets really drunk. He brings home a girl, 2 girls actually, and he bags them on the couch. Which, you're lying if that doesn't make him sound like a serial killer. Everyone hears the whole debacle outside, like the whole Travis bagging the girls in the living room. Everyone gets uncomfortable. Abbie gets upset. Travis realizes the next morning that he really hurt Abbie's feelings, which I assume was the point of bringing home 2 girls. Like, you were mad at Abbie for going out with another guy, so naturally Travis's twisted way of thinking would bring home 2 girls to try and rub it in Abbie's face. Like, oh, you want to be with other guys? Well, I'll be with other girls. Like, I don't know. For me, it was very clear that it was meant to be vindictive and, vengeful. And so for Travis to be, surprised that Abbie is so upset and, like, worried for Abbie, like, why is she so sad? You're so dense. Why were you so mad? Like, you're so dense. Anyway, to apologize to Abbie, he goes and he buys her a bunch of grocery and brings it back to the apartment. He buys her, like, all of her favorite snacks. If you ask me, the pattern of Travis deliberately hurting Abbie and then buying her gifts and being overly kind isn't alarming whatsoever. And then before I go on to the next thing that happens in this book, I just want to say that this scene where Travis bags the 2 girls is the scene that I referenced earlier in which Travis drives drunk. And I just want to say to any author, to anyone ever, driving drunk is one of the most selfish things you can have your characters do. It's the most selfish things you can do in real life. If you drive drunk, instantly you are the worst of people, right? There are very few instances in which a character drives drunk and I am still able to forgive them. I'm still able to, see past that, and that's typically because those instances of a character driving drunk are, put in the book for a reason. It's meant to be part of a character arc, a character growth. It's meant to be something a character learns from. It's not just something that happens in the book casually. And in this book, Travis drives drunk. He carries other people with him while driving drunk. He goes on the highway while driving drunk. And I feel so angry because I'm supposed to be rooting for this guy, a guy who doesn't care for anyone, like is blatantly selfish, and I'm still supposed to be rooting for him? Are you kidding me? Just that the author thought, like, oh, he's the bad boy, of course he drives drunk. Like, no, you can be an archetypical bad boy, even though I don't really like that archetype, whatever. You can be that kind of character and still not do blatantly selfish and awful and, self-centered, like, just trash. Throw him in the trash. When that happened, I was like, ooh, I don't know how anyone could stand his bum ass, bro. The next thing that really happens of note is Abbie and Travis go out to a party, and at the party, Parker is there from a distance. And at this point, they're flirting with one another. Parker and Abbie, they're not really seeing one another. The love triangle hasn't really been cemented, but Travis threatens to kill Parker if he sees him touching Abbie, which is really nice. It's a nice, healthy, platonic friendship at work. So Abbie says she wouldn't mind if Parker touched her because she has a crush on him. And Travis says, fine, if he ends up holding you down in the backseat of his car, don't come crying to me. Which is gross, right? So gross. Such a gross statement, such a gross sentiment. And to Travis's credit, he does apologize after saying that. He's like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. But what does it say that the first thing that comes to his mind to say to Abbie when she says, oh, I'm interested in another guy, I want him to, pursue me, the first thing he says is essentially, don't come crying to me if you get raped. That is such a problematic tenet. Like, that's such a problematic thing. Like, that's just the worst thing to say. I don't have any words for it. I don't feel like I can be elegant in explaining how unsettling that is, to wish rape upon a person because they're interested in a guy and you're interested in her. I know my opinions can be a bit unpopular, but in my humble opinion, wishing rape upon anybody for any reason is despicable and gross, and it happened in this book so casually. Abbie starts dating Parker while living with Travis, so every night when Abbie and Parker go out together, doing whatever they do, because we don't spend time with them together. We just see the aftermath. Whenever Parker brings Abbie home, Travis watches through a peephole or through the window to make sure they don't kiss. So the next time they go out, Parker makes sure to kiss Abbie goodnight in the car outside of Travis's apartment, but he still watches, so he sees them kissing in the car, so he like storms out and he like yanks open the door and he yanks Abbie out. Travis forces Abbie inside the apartment. It's clear that he's drunk again, and they get into a fight in which Travis implies that he'll kill Parker if he sleeps with Abbie, and then Abbie reveals that she is a virgin, in which Travis immediately fetishizes. He's like, oh, you're a virgin? Like, oh, bro, what? Take your drunk ass home, bro. Later that night, America tries to guilt Abbie into staying with Travis. She says, Travis, quit fighting. He doesn't go out without you. He hasn't brought any girls home since the Bimbo twins. Nice. And has yet to murder Parker. He's done a 180 for you. You're reaping the rewards and Parker's getting the benefits of Travis's improved character. And I just want to say, Travis changing his own behavior does not obligate Abbie to sleep with him. It does not obligate Abbie to do anything for him. But just the notion that like Travis improving can't be for his own sake, it'll always be for Abbie's sake, and Abbie is the central reason why he's changing, and you know, how dare you not give him your affection, he's doing so much for you. Like that notion is so manipulative and so toxic. Anyway, rumors continue to persist. This rumor subplot, oh, I should have mentioned that. The rumor subplot, the worst subplot. Why is it such a thing? Why are you so concerned, first and foremost, about other people and what they think about you? Second of all, why are other people so concerned about what the two of you guys are doing together? Third of all, why is it such a big deal? Why is it such a big deal? Anyway, so rumors persist about Abbie and Travis and Abbie and Parker, and Abbie gets upset, and Travis, as a means to distract the student body, during lunch hops up on the cafeteria table and starts dancing and singing I Can't Get No Satisfaction, in which, in pure High School Musical form, everyone joins in, like the football players, everyone starts dancing and singing along with Travis. No music. How awkward. Like, if that happened at my school, we would just leave the cafeteria. Like, I can't imagine this happening anywhere. I can't imagine this happening at all. Like, how cringy. What kind of, like, wish fulfillment is this for the author? Like, why does there have to be this reminds me of Riverdale, where they started having musical numbers for no reason, and people are like, why are you covering Beyonce on Riverdale? While, like, just, why? Why do the cringiest of things have musical numbers in them? So 2 weeks later, the 2 weeks fly by, Abbie and Travis spend their last night together, and Travis begs Abbie to stay in a very dramatic fashion. Abbie says she doesn't want Travis to feel pain, and then they sleep together. Like, actually, like, have SE, like, they actually do the do, you know? Which is so dramatic and over the top, first of all, and then second of all, Abbie is still with Parker, so she cheats on Parker with Travis, which is nice. Cherry on top. And then that night, after Travis falls asleep, after doing the do, Abbie sneaks out because she's, like, uncomfortable with what she's done, and she moves back into her dorm and promptly goes to sleep. That morning, she wakes up to a bunch of missed calls, and she decides to call back America, and America is sobbing on the phone. She's asking, like, what did you do? She's, like, accusing Abbie of doing something, and continues to explain that Travis is acting like a wild animal. He's hitting Shepley, he's tearing up furniture, he's throwing lamps on the floor, he's punching walls, ruining everything. He's just overall being very violent, and America is freaking out. And so she says that, like, oh, you have to talk to him, he's calling your name, like, while doing all of this, you have to go talk to him, which is not a good thing for a best friend to do, if you ask me. How romantic. So basically all of this happened after he found out that Abbie had left, and America pleads with Abbie to go see Travis and calm him down. Of all the things Travis does throughout this book, this is one of the most concerning, mostly because he punches walls, and I feel like that's, like, one of the biggest red flags ever in a relationship. Like, when he starts punching walls, it's because he wants to punch you, sis. Like, go. Abbie reveals to America that she slept with Travis and then she left in the middle of the night, and then America goes like, oh, you bitch, like, how dare you do that to him? Of course he's acting this way. Which is so awful, how everyone attributes Travis's behavior to Abbie's action. Even if Abbie pissed on him in his sleep, he has no reason acting this way. Later that day, Travis forces his way into Abbie's dorm, tells her he loves her, demands she calls Parker to break up with him. Abbie does, naturally, and then they begin dating one another. So this is the beginning of Abbie and Travis as boyfriend and girlfriend. God help us all. So there's not too much to note in regards to Abbie and Travis being together, thank goodness. Basically, Abbie and Travis are just obsessed with one another for a little bit. Travis becomes significantly more possessive of Abbie during this period of time. So for example, at a club, some guy tries to buy Abbie a drink, and we all know how Travis feels about that. So Travis screams at Abbie, says it's time to leave the club. Abbie's upset because she came out for a good night and he's cutting it short. Which, by the way, all of this is happening while they're underage. Travis is a sophomore. I am a sophomore in college. Travis is also a sophomore in college, for comparison. And Abbie's a freshman, so they're all under the age of 20. Anyway, so Travis says it's time to leave. They walk through the club, and then while walking through the club to leave, some guy grabs Abbie to try and dance with her, which is gross. You shouldn't touch anyone without their consent, you know? But Travis gets really mad at this, and he tries to punch the guy who grabbed onto Abbie, but he misses and he punches Abbie in the face. Yeah, obviously they end up arguing afterwards. Abbie's bleeding through her nose. She's freaking out, she's in pain, and Travis and her start arguing, and Travis ends the argument by saying, "I'm going to fuck up a lot, Pidge, but you have to forgive me," which is not how you respond to someone bawling because they're in pain because you hit them, especially when they're your significant other. You should never put your hands on your significant other. And his defense was oh, I was aiming at the other guy. Why the hell were you aiming at another? Why were you hitting anyone in general? This all leads back to your violence and your behavioral issues. It's not oh, well, you were in the way. Why did you choose to hit them in the first? I digress. Anyway, America's stupid ass tries to enable this train wreck of a relationship by interjecting and giving her 2 cents, which no one asked for. And she says, "You realize people like you and Trav," cute nickname, "you and Trav are going to fight, right? Please send America off to the best friend shop because obviously there's something wrong with her. She's a defective best friend. You should never enable your best friend to stay with a partner who hits them. I feel that's just rule number 1 as a friend. I would never, ever, ever tell someone to stay with a partner who lays a finger on them. Even if you're not my best friend, if you're just an acquaintance, or even and I don't have any enemies, I'm not gonna flatter myself. Even if I don't know, don't stay with partners that hit you. Obviously America's not gonna do her job, so I'll do it for her." So Abbie storms off to her dorm, upset, and Travis follows her, begging for Abbie's forgiveness, and Abbie does relent. She forgives him. And so they have that little makeup scene. Kara, Abbie's roommate, I don't know if I've introduced her yet, but Abbie's roommate, Kara, is the best character in this book. She asks Travis to leave the room so she can have a moment alone with Abbie. Travis leaves, and this is when the most reasonable character, Kara, the best character, says the most reasonable thing in this book. It was this line that made me aware that the author knew how toxic and messed up this relationship was. So Kara says to Abbie, "Do you know what codependency is, Abbie? Your boyfriend is a prime example, which is creepy considering he went from having no respect to women at all to thinking he needs you to breathe. Don't you wonder why that is? He's been through half the girls at the school. Why you?" I wanted to freaking applaud when I read that. I was yes, Kara, go off, Kara. Kara for 2020 presidency. Thank you for speaking the truth. Thank you for doing your service, ma'am. And Abbie responds in true Abbie fashion with, "It doesn't matter. When it's good, Kara, it's beautiful." Someone get this girl before I do. The next thing that happens is Travis gets a tattoo of pigeon on his arm, which is nice. Not impulsive, not concerning, not worrying at all that they've been together for a semester. And he's getting a tattoo, 2 tattoos actually, gets 2 tattoos of her. And Abbie freaks out because she's "Oh, this is too fast, we're moving too fast." And Travis is like, "Why can't you be like most girls?" And "Why are you making such a big deal? Why aren't you committed to me?" And then Abbie goes, "I thought you knew by now I'm not most girls." So that was how that ended. Later, they get dressed up for a party. When they walk in, everyone stares at them because they're just so hot, what kind of wish fulfillment is this for the author to, write about characters who literally people stare at because they're so hot. So while at this party, Abbie's father, the famous poker player, crashes it. He goes to Abbie and he's like, "I need your help." He needs a lot of money because he's in a lot of debt. And he's like, "If you don't get me this money, the mom is gonna kill me." Which, fair enough. Please pester your daughter by all means. So Abbie decides that she needs to go to Vegas to gamble and gather as much money as possible to save her father's life. And this leads to Travis and Abbie and the gang traveling to Vegas for the weekend. Like, they don't have any responsibilities. So they go to Vegas. If this feels like a traumatic, weird turn for the novel, just know that it felt weird reading it too. Like, you're not alone. There's a bit that happens during this little stint at Vegas, but I don't have the energy at this point, so I'm just gonna be really quick about it. So Abbie goes to Vegas, she gambles a lot, she wins a lot of money, but she's still shy a few grand. So she goes to the mobster to plead for more time, and while she's there with Travis, the mobster sends a bunch of goons to attack them. And Travis takes them all down. Like, of course he does. Of course he does. The mobster is impressed and says he'll forgive Abbie's father's debt if Travis fights for him. One of the guys that Travis fought and took down was supposed to, like, fight that night for a lot of money, so Travis does take the job, and he wins the fight, obviously, against a UFC fighter, and he gets a lot of money out of it, which don't think the irony of Travis being a criminology major. I don't think I mentioned that. Travis is a criminology major, and he partakes in so many crimes. So he drives while drunk, he drinks underage, he goes out with other people who are underage, he, skips class, and he partakes in underground fighting rings, and he works for the mob for a little bit. Like, he does all of these awful, awful, awful things, but he's still a criminology major. Like, just why? Why criminology? Why the study of crime if you're gonna be such a criminal? And what does he want to do with that? Like, the mobster offers Travis a full-time job fighting for him, and Travis is so intrigued by it. He's like, oh, I get to finally take care of my girl, like, life is gonna be good, I'll make so much money. But Abbie gets upset because she doesn't want the Vegas lifestyle anymore. Her father was into it, and look where that got them. But Travis pushes and pushes, and he claims he's doing it all for her, and Abbie breaks up with him as a result of him pushing, which, good. Have boundaries, sis. Boundaries are a good thing. So Travis and Abbie break up. It's basically the same old, a lot of moping, a lot of pining. Abbie starts to see Parker again. Travis stalks Abbie for a good while. She can't even attend class in peace. Abbie has to figure out how to get in and out of her dorm without him knowing. She has to figure out, which classes to attend. She picks and chooses which classes to attend because she's like, what if Travis is waiting for me? Anyway, Travis asks Abbie to come home with him for Thanksgiving because his family really likes Abbie, and Travis hasn't told them they've like broken up yet. And he already promised his siblings and his father that Abbie would cook for them for Thanksgiving. He guilt Abbie into coming to Thanksgiving because it's been so long since they've had a woman in the kitchen, and Abbie has to do it. He already promised his siblings, which Abbie falls for. Nice. When they come back from Thanksgiving, Parker asks Abbie out to dinner. She agrees. During dinner, Travis calls Abbie, says, I have a huge fight. I need you to come because you're my good luck charm. You're my pigeon. And Abbie leaves in the middle of the dinner. Nice. Class act. And I guess that effectively ends her relationship with Parker because he gets upset, rightfully so, that she's going to leave in the middle of the dinner. Also, just how manipulative to call someone because you want to be with them and, like, use the guise of, oh, like, you're my good luck charm, I need you. You fought fine before her, why would you need her now? During this last grand fight, the place that was, like, housing the fight burns down, leaving Travis and Abbie almost dead, which is nice. Nice touch. So this near-death experience naturally leads to trauma bonding, which, if you ask me, is my favorite kind of bonding. And it reinforces the notion that Abbie and Travis belong together, and that no time should be squandered between the two of them, and blah, blah, blah. So they decide to elope. So they get married, and that's how the book ends. They get married, and I hope to God that they don't have kids. Now, on to the romance. So romance was one of the worst aspects of this godforsaken book. From the plot, you can tell that it was a problematic affair, very tumultuous, very up and down and volatile. And there is this thing that I do when I read books like Beautiful Disaster and books like After, when I watch movies. I have this thing that I do where I ask myself, and I ask other people if I'm watching the movie with other people or if I'm reading the book with other people. I ask if someone spoiled the book for me right now, at the page that I'm at right now, and they told me this book ends in a murder-suicide in which the main guy kills the girl and then kills himself, would I believe them? And the answer would be wholeheartedly yes, of course, I would believe you hands down. At every step of the way in reading this book, I found myself thinking, like, the author really put down the groundwork for a toxic relationship. The author really put down the groundwork for an explosive relationship in the worst possible way, and I feel like the author isn't even aware of that. Even after finishing the book, they get married. If the epilogue was, like, America at their funeral, I would not be surprised. I would actually prefer that ending, because at least that hints towards the author being somewhat self-aware of how awful the relationship is. So I did a bit of research for abusive relationships when I was in high school, because I was on a student council little board that part of it was educating people about abusive relationships. So I decided to revisit the websites that I used back then to see if this relationship ticked the boxes of an abusive relationship. So here we are. So according to Join One Love, a foundation dedicated to educating people about healthy and unhealthy relationships and in identifying the warning signs of an abusive relationship, here are their top warning signs for an abusive, unhealthy relationship. Obviously, I'll link the organization down below if you guys want to check it out yourself. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to read these warning signs to you, and you tell me if this reminds you of a certain couple. The first sign is jealousy. Jealousy becomes unhealthy when someone lashes out or tries to control you because of it. Intensity. Having really extreme feelings or over-the-top behavior that feels like too much. Examples are rushing the pace of the relationship, always wanting to see you and talk to you, and feeling like someone is obsessed with you. Manipulation. When a partner tries to influence your decisions, actions, or emotions. Manipulation is not always easy to spot, but some examples are convincing you to do things you wouldn't normally feel comfortable with, ignoring you until they get their way, and using gifts and apologies to influence your decisions or get back into your good graces. Guilting. Making you feel guilty or responsible for your partner's actions. Example, making you feel responsible for their happiness. Volatility. Unpredictable overreactions that make you feel like you need to walk on eggshells around them or do things to keep them from lashing out. Examples can be mood swings, losing control of themselves by getting violent or yelling, threatening to hurt or destroy things, making you feel afraid of them. This can also be lots of drama or ups and downs in a relationship. Deflecting responsibility. Making excuses for their behavior. Examples can be blaming you, other people from their past, or for their actions, using alcohol or drugs as an excuse, using mental health issues or past experiences, like a cheating ex or divorced parents, as an excuse for their unhealthy behavior. Betrayal. When your partner acts differently with you versus how they act when you're not around. To be fair to the relationship in this book, they don't fit every single thing on this list to a T, but they fit an alarming amount. Well, what's the matter, you might be thinking, like, oh, it's just a book. It's not like media informs the world around us in any way, shape, or form. Like, what's the problem? So that I say, an author writing a codependent, abusive relationship like this under the guise of, romance is problematic for a myriad of reasons, not the least of which being books like these perpetuate the myth that possessiveness, jealousy, and intensity to the degree portrayed in this book are all aspects and markers of a good romance. It means he loves you. He couldn't help himself. You make him better. You make him happy. You should stay because without you, what would he do? He can't help that he's a mess up, but you make him better. It's because he loves you. Relationship dynamics like these do happen in real life, right? But they never end well. No one ever thinks like, oh, we're trash together and we're trash apart and we are just trash in general, but it's okay, it'll get better through age. Like, we're a fine wine. Like, no one ever thinks that. So the misogyny in this book is the last thing that I want to touch on. So most of this you can actually see in the plot of the book that I've talked about, the name calling, the way the author paints other women in this book, the way she describes them. So I just want to say that in this book there are 4 girls in general who are not presented as either bitches or sluts or ugly or airheads or any other derogatory term that is generally used to put women down. There are 4 women, 2 of them being Abbie and America. One of them is America's mother, who took care of Abbie when she was a child. And the last one is the girl who died in the fire at the end of the book that I mentioned. So the last girl who died in the fire was described as beautiful. And I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked because the author had not used that word to describe anyone other than America and Abbie. So I was like, good for you, I suppose. But then she immediately ruined it by making it clear that the only reason why this girl is beautiful is because she's dead, so she's not a threat to Abbie and Travis, and 2, because it reminded Abbie of how America looks. Like, she was like, oh, that girl has beautiful blonde hair like America. Where is America? I'm worried about America. So it was a qualifier. It was like a bridge to get us to talk about America. So I don't think it really counts, but whatever. So there are 4 women in this book that aren't, treated like trash. 2 of them are our main characters who are not like other girls, and then one of them is dead and the other one is absent. I don't know who she is, like, where is she? And I just want to say, Abbie Abernathy is trash. And I just want to say to anyone who thinks that like being like other girls is awful, I just want to affirm that you are not like other girls. You are far worse, far, far worse. If you think being like other girls is a bad thing, then I think you need to reevaluate your stance on what you think of actual women. Anyway, that's my rant review of Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. This is going to be the worst thing to edit in my entire life. And I hope that this was in depth for you guys, because I took a while. And I hope that it was interesting. I'm genuinely scared that people won't find this video to be interesting or entertaining. But who cares? It's already filmed, so who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me from posting? Nobody. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Sarah. This has been Read with Sarah. See you in the next video.